you may be the lead sniper for this rotation, meaning from you pick up the school in pro dev, you're the lead sniper in your workup.
We haven't really talked about your Navy SEAL time today, and I know like you did a great podcast with Pomp on that, but you had said you got in. I think we covered you got in July 2001. So on 9/11, were you in training while that was happening?
So when 9/11 happened, I had just graduated boot camp, and I had a hernia surgery, and I was supposed to fly home that day on recovery. And so I guess I was in training, but it wasn't SEAL training yet. So then from there, I went to an A school, which is basically, so in my time when, if you wanted to join the Navy and become a SEAL, they basically, it was almost like an advertising thing. It was, hey, nobody makes it through this pipeline, but let's advertise the shit out of it, because all the people that quit, we will put them in jobs that we have a shortage in. So you would have to pick one of those jobs that there was a shortage in the Navy before you actually went to BUD/S. So I picked one of those jobs, went through that course, and then got to BUD/S and made it through, went to the SEAL team.
How long is that process, like approximately?
It can be...
Like to get to BUD/S?
To get to BUD/S?
Yeah. Like how long?
It can be pretty quick. You could probably get there in 3 months.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's not that long.
Yeah.
But like when 9/11 happens, because you said you were going to be going home that day or something, but like did that change something in you? Obviously you had committed, you wanted to do this before 9/11 happened, so like you were already obviously like wanting to represent the country and stuff like that, but did that like flip a switch in you at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it didn't hit me to the fullest extent. I mean, I was only 18, you know what I mean? Right. So I was still just an 18-year-old kid, but what it did do is I knew, I was like, all right, we're going to war.
So then you go into BUD/S a few months later. How long is BUD/S training?
If you make it through with no hiccups, 6 months.
And it's like just 6 grueling, intense months of nonstop physical, like how much trauma can you take?
Not all of it. About the first, it's broken up into 3 different phases. You have first phase, which is what you're talking about. Then you have second phase, which is kind of what you're talking about, but that's dive phase. First phase is Hell Week and all that kind of shit, where it's horrible. So you got Hell Week, first phase. Then you've got dive phase, which is, it can be just as bad, but it's not all the time. There's some classroom. You actually have to learn how to dive and and do open circuit. Then you move into rebreather. Rebreather is where you don't have any bubbles, so you can't be detected. You learn how to plant bombs on ships, all that kind of stuff. And then you move into land warfare, demolition, and that's when you really start learning how to do demo, make bombs, use C4, use Bangalore torpedoes, TNT, data sheet, all kinds of explosives, and kind of like, I would say, basic infantry tactics. Then after you get through BUD/S, then you go to jump school, learn how to jump out of planes. Then after you get done with that, then you go to SQT, that's SEAL qualification training. SEAL qualification training is kind of when they actually turn you in. They know you have the guts that it takes to do the job, and so this is kind of like perfecting you and turning you into a special operator. Then when you get through SQT, then you show up to the team. If you show up at the team at the beginning of the cycle, then you got about another 1.5 years of training before you go out the door.
What do you mean beginning of the cycle?
So when I was in, I don't know what they're doing now. I think they've shortened the cycle, but they would have 6 months of this thing called Pro Dev, professional development. So that would be when you're going to individual schools, individual specialties. So you might go to a breacher's course and learn how to blow doors and shit. make entry into buildings, houses, targets, whatever. Sniper school, that thing I was telling you about with the MI6, that would be in there. Communication school, JTAC school, JTAC's where you're talking to fast A-10s, F-18s, stuff like that, dropping ordnance, dropping bombs. You go out to Nevada and do that stuff. All these kind of schools, right? That would be pro dev, professional development. Then you go into your workup. Your workup is when you work as a team. You kind of meet everybody in your platoon, or they call them troops now, squadron, whatever you want to call it, and you start working with your team, and everything starts getting put together. So you guys are running. It's train up. But you're doing a lot of that kind of stuff that I was talking to you about, that the CIA is kind of like checking the box to see if you can perform it. That's where you learn all these where you really learn these skills and learn your team, how they move. They learn how you move, and you basically become one, with your team. And that is everything from land warfare to CQB to mount, which is like fighting in cities. What else? Diving, over the beach, MAROPS, which is when you see the MAROPS is like the little black rubber boats that with an engine on the back. That's that stuff. How to navigate an open ocean, air ops, more jumping, fast roping out of helicopters, and then you move into. I think they called it SIT. I can't remember what they called it, and I don't remember what it stood for. But that's when you start working with other counterparts that you might be deploying with. So the SEAL team or your SEAL platoon that you're working with, you might be working with another team. Like the teams are broken up. You got West Coast teams, you got East Coast teams. Those teams can mirror each other.
Where do the numbers come in? That's what has always confused me. You're the first Navy SEAL I've had on here.
Oh,
but like when we hear SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 7.
So all the odd number teams are on the West Coast out of San Diego. All the even number teams are out of Virginia.
Is there any difference in specialties that they do as far as like, I mean, at least when I've talked with SEALs in the past, obviously off camera, like it sounds like some team is like more senior than another team. Like the two that I hear, maybe I'm totally off on this, are like SEAL Teams 2 and 6 are like the prestigious ones. Is that a real thing, or is it totally just based on the coast?
So the way it used to be broken down was each team had an area of operation. So Team 2 was Europe. Team 4 was South America. Team 3 was the Middle East. Team 1, I think, was Southeast Asia. So that's how it was originally broken up. Team 6 was your anti-terrorism team. And so they would be what you would consider the most prestigious, right?
Got it.
Does that make sense? Is that a good breakdown?
Yeah, that's great.
What was the question before that?
So you were walking through the whole process, and then how you join in the cycles. You join your platoon.
So you may be. So when I was at Team 2, we mirrored Team 3, and so we would work. My platoon with Team 2 would work with a specific platoon in SEAL Team 3 because we might be working together overseas. Or you may be working with a Ranger unit, or you may be working with a Green Beret unit, and you start to get to know all these other teams, that you're going to be working with in theater being in the specific war zone that you're going to be operating in together. And that's where you start working with you start doing like FTXs, which are field training exercises, where you start working with Apaches and you start working with F-18s and A-10s and jumping out of planes and linking up with Green Beret units and linking up with Ranger units and it's kind of like putting everything together. Everybody gets to know each other and everybody works together before you do it for real.
So you're doing work. That's something I kind of miss out on. Like in the past, you're doing work with other segments of the military early on. Like you're working with Rangers, you said, and Green Berets.
You have the potential. You don't always. I never actually worked with a Ranger team. You work with everybody, man. You work with FBI. You work with CIA. You work with NSA. You work with everybody.
That's interesting. That's not how, like, in pop culture we tend to think about it. But at the same time, like, thinking about when I see, even when I see things in like movies, usually they are coming in to like cover somebody, and it's not, it's not necessarily like another SEAL team. It's like Marines on the ground or something like that.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But like you also, each team has guys who have different specialties. No, so like there's obviously a guy's specialty that you all have to be trained in a specific set of things, like obviously like handling guns, being top tier marksmen, things like that. But you have guys who are snipers, you have guys who are medics, you have guys who are breakers, right? Like at what point do you start to develop your specialty, and like how do you pick that out?
Immediately. A lot of times it's picked out for you, and it doesn't follow you throughout the entire duration of your team. So you may be a sniper you may be the lead sniper. I'll just call him the lead sniper, right? You may be the lead sniper for this rotation, meaning from you pick up the school in pro dev, you're the lead sniper in your workup into the last portion, into the deployment, then cycle starts over. Maybe this time they're like, hey, you're going to be a communicator this time. You know what I mean? And then you go to communication school and you learn all the different radios and how to talk to airplanes and helicopters and boats and you name it. You know what I mean? And getting your team's communications all wired, ready to go out on operations and everything. Then maybe after that rotation, they're like, hey, we're going to send you to breacher school. Then you're going to be the lead breacher and you're going to be the lead guy, the lead explosives guy, and it just, the list just goes on and on.
What was your main area of expertise, like throughout your career?
I really didn't have a specific area of expertise. I showed up late in the cycle on the first one, so I went to a bunch of bullshit schools that I'm not proud of, and not that they just weren't exciting to talk about it, and I don't want to bore people to death.
Sure.
But then the second rotation I came in, and that's when I went to that MI6 school.
Okay, so the MI6 school, just to refresh, when you first brought that up, you thought you were going to go
I thought I was
hunting
going to
in Bosnia for war criminals.
Yeah.
And this is like 02, 03, something like that?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So this is like a whole, and you guys did a great job with this in, I think, a few of the sit-downs I've listened to where it's been guys who were over in this theater. But in the Rob O'Neill one, I remember you guys talked about like Kosovo and stuff because he was there. This to me is like a forgotten part of history.
Yeah.
But the breakup of the Soviet bloc in the 90s was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So Bosnia, if I remember correctly, that was where like the biggest, there were few different genocides, but that was where like the biggest genocide happened, right?
I don't know if it was the biggest, but there was a lot of it going on.
So what, like this isn't spy work, you're going in as a SEAL to like capture and...
Well, that was spy work.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you were getting trained by MI6. So you're going in that situation as a SEAL, are you going in plain clothes?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're rolling around and who knows what, maybe an ice cream truck. But it was a lot of snatch and grab type work where it'd be tracking somebody, surveilling them, snatching them up, interrogating them, whatever.
But you never got to do it. You were pulled off it before.
Yep.
So was your whole team pulled off it and sent to Afghanistan, or just some of you?
Just some of us.
And this is like 03 or something. So
actually, the whole team wound up getting pulled off. Yeah, because I got pulled out to go to Afghanistan, and then those guys were over there, but then they got pulled out into Baghdad, and then my team left Afghanistan, so I volunteered to go to Baghdad to jump in with my sister platoon, who were the guys that were going to Bosnia, and then we did a lot of sniper work.
Got it. So they pulled you in. This is just interesting timing. It seems like they pulled you into Afghanistan when Iraq was taken off, like first.
Well, everything was taken off. So I went to Afghanistan, right? Do you remember the movie? Did you ever watch that movie, The Lone Survivor? Of
course. Yep.
So my platoon was the platoon that relieved those guys.
Oh, shit.
Yep. And then that, because that operation went so bad, it created a lot of political problems within that theater in Afghanistan. And
what do you mean by political problems?
That op should have never happened. And that created political problems, not like politics like you're thinking, not like left, right shit, politics within the military. So, and this is way above my pay grade at the time, but there was basically a pissing match going on between the I'll just call him the head of the SEAL teams and the head of special operations, and the SEALs got pulled out of Afghanistan, and so we went over to Iraq.
Oh, so that happened pretty quickly then.
I mean, that was the biggest loss in SEAL team history at the
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? So it just, a lot of things went wrong, you know, on that operation, and it, you know.
Yeah. If people haven't seen that movie, it is a really good movie, but really scary too. I mean, it's like, you know, those are the best of the best, and that's still how it just goes to show you, like, if the planning's not there, if one thing's wrong, doesn't matter how great the operators are, they could still be sitting ducks there. It's something. But so you didn't see much action in Afghanistan, it sounds like.
No, I didn't see a whole lot. We did a couple of hits, snatched a couple of prisoners, did a couple of interrogations, but it wasn't like what I was expecting, where we were going to be kicking doors in every single night, multiple times a night. That didn't happen. Not for me there. There was too much, because of Red Wings, when that went down, everybody got very trigger shy. They didn't want that to happen again. You know what I mean? And so everything just, it unfortunately affected the off tempo,
Right.
You know? And so we went to another theater and did a lot of good work there.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.